What's good, people? The Amalfi Coast, one of the most breathtaking destinations on the planet. Epic sunsets, great food, dope beaches, and just romantic vibes everywhere. Being there is magical, but it could be difficult to plan this epic adventure. Here's a guide on helping you plan your trip to make sure you make the most of it. Booking a trip to the Amalfi Coast can be a little daunting since there's a ton of places to stay and a few rules that tourists need to pay attention to. How do you get there? Where do you fly into? Well, Naples is the closest airport, and from there you can either take a ferry from Naples, a car service, bus, or rent a car, which is what I did, but I wouldn't recommend it. More on that later. A bus or ferry are your best options. Once you take a bus or ferry into a specific town, you can either walk or take a cab to your hotel. Transportation and getting around the coast is a little tricky. You have a few options: public transportation, renting a scooter or car, cabbing it everywhere, a private boat, or just walking. Each of these options has its advantages and disadvantages. So let's talk about the pros and cons of each transportation. Renting a scooter is perfect for short drives, freedom in terms of when you can come and go, and parking is easy. However, riding a scooter can be dangerous if you aren't experienced riding on narrow and windy roads. I'm telling you, the roads along the mountains are very narrow and can be dangerous, especially at night or if it's raining. Public transportation is cheap and runs on a schedule. However, public buses tend to be crowded. Because of that, you need to get in line 20 to 30 minutes before the bus is scheduled to leave. If you try to catch the bus on time, you're likely going to miss it because it'll get filled before you get there. Also, you'll be on a bus schedule and you need to tailor your plans accordingly. A ferry or private boat can be efficient if you're going long distances. However, both can be pricey. You'll need to book in advance and they don't take you everywhere. Now let's talk a little bit more about driving. The good thing is that you're in control of your schedule for the most part. No need to wait on crowded public transportation. Now the cons of driving are plentiful. To help deal with the immense traffic on the coast, an alternate license plate driving schedule is being implemented. It's pretty simple. If your car's license plate ends with an even number, then you aren't allowed to drive on a day that falls on an even number. Likewise, if your license plate ends with an odd number, then you cannot drive on a day that falls on an odd number. This will be in effect on June 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The only exceptions are for residents and tourists with accommodations on the coast during their date of arrival and departure. Also understand that parking on the coast is at a premium because it's not easy to bore into a mountain and create parking space. Parking can be annoying even if you're not traveling during peak season. You can't just park anywhere, so make sure you look out for signs. To keep things simple, I recommend parking in a parking lot, but keep in mind that it can really get costly. The great thing about parking lots is that they tell you how many spots are available before you enter the lot. This is helpful as it allows you to maximize your time and money. Next, you need to be an excellent driver with a lot of experience driving manual transmissions. The roads here are narrow, windy, on the edge of a cliff, usually 2 lanes, one for each direction, sometimes 1 lane, and you need to be focused on speed, people, and other vehicles. Oftentimes, you'll have a bus coming at you on the other side of the road, and it feels as if there isn't enough room for both of you. However, if you must drive, some things that you need to keep in mind are making sure that you're renting a small car like the Fiat 500 that I rented. A small car will consume less fuel and fit better on tighter roads. You'll also need an international driver's license to legally drive in Italy. Alright, now let's move on to booking accommodations. You need to keep in mind that every town on the coast has its own vibe, and you should choose a hotel in a town that suits you best. For example, the town of Amalfi is a very touristy place and is really crowded. This is the equivalent of staying in Times Square, for instance. The good thing is that you have everything you need within an easy walking distance, but again, you'll have to deal with the crowds. While Positano is on the more glamorous and hip side, has tons of places to have a bite and drink, it's more Instagrammable, it gets busy, and can be expensive. Positano is a place where you'll need to be walking up and down a ton of stairs, so if you have lower back issues or foot problems, then you probably shouldn't be spending a lot of time there. The good thing is that they have a marina with water taxis readily available. Ravello is a very beautiful town. It's more quiet and much slower paced than its neighboring towns, but has great places to eat and drink. This is where we stayed, and I'll talk more about Ravello in another video. Atrani is another town on the coast that you want to consider. It's like Amalfi, but with a lot less people, 2 beaches, and a really beautiful view. Another thing to understand about the Amalfi Coast is that most of the hotels aren't modern or renovated. It is Amalfi chic. Let's just leave it at that. Most hotel rooms look like they're straight out of the 80s or 90s. It feels like you're being transported to your grandma's house. So be careful when you're booking an expensive hotel. Understand that you might be better off with a substantially cheaper spot. So I suggest getting a moderately priced room in a town that best suits your vibe and has a great view, because that's really all that matters when you're in this beautiful place. I stayed in Hotel Grau in Ravello. It's a moderately priced hotel on a cliff with a great view of the sea. I had a room with a balcony, which is the way to go, as you can wake up, have a coffee, and take in that view that you came so far to see. All right, now let's move on to when you should book your trip for. As always, I rarely suggest going to a destination during high season, especially a place like Amalfi where there is barely enough place to walk during low season. Seriously, there's oftentimes no sidewalk. So can you imagine during high season walking along the road, cars coming by, buses coming by, scooters going by? No thanks. Stay away during peak summer months like July and August. For the best weather, I suggest going in June and September. During September, things are starting to slow down as people are back to work and kids are back in school, but the weather is still warm and so is the water. I went in the middle of September and it was perfect. Well, that's all. I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure to watch my other Amalfi video about the best things to see and do while in Amalfi. I'll leave a link in the description and above. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time.